We're in the midst of a big time for Magic.
Yeah.
Magic's 30th anniversary.
We're doing a whole year and a half of it.
A year and a half long anniversary, commemorating, well, 30 years of, let's just say, trading card game history. Not just Magic history, trading card game history. Because without Magic, what else do we have?
Just normal cards, collectibles.
That said, there's been, I think, a subject that a lot of people have had mixed feelings about, and that is the 30th anniversary pack.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what that is?
Well, the idea behind it is it's going to be a number of packs. I think it's somewhere between 3 and 4 in this little box. You're going to open it up, and it's going to be a number of cards from, I believe, Alpha, right?
Yeah, the very first
set
ever printed.
So the ratios are here and there, but they're amazing cards like Lotus, any of the Bayou, Volcanic Island, any of the dual lands that everyone just wants because they're pricey and beautiful.
Or the rest of the Power 9.
Yeah, and also all the Power 9, yeah. The issue behind why everyone is at odds about this is because not only is Alpha, they're doing ratios and stuff, you're not guaranteed everything from it, but in addition to that, they are technically not tournament legal playable. They are going to be gold bordered and have a very nice back with a Black Lotus on it. It looks really cool, but it is not going to be allowed for official play. So what does that mean for players? And it literally means these are $1,000, I'm going to say it at least once, proxies. Cards that just represent the actual original cards, and what am I going to do with that?
I think the bigger question for me is, if you're a collector, right? If something is a reprint, what does the legality of that reprint matter for its collector value? Why is a black border more significant than a gold border to someone who's not going to be playing the game if it was printed at the same time by the same publisher and is just as official and licensed? That is to say, if you were to print a black border Power 9 reprint today, alongside a gold border Power 9 reprint today, and release them in the same manner, they would come from the same place. They would be equally as rare, equally as scarce. Again, one might not be usable in a deck, but for all of those factors that we look at just in terms of sheer collectability, and again, I will remind you, there are lots of trading cards, sports cards being a great example, that are collectible without being playable in any game at all. If they're otherwise entirely equal, why is one somehow legitimate for the purpose of collecting and one is not?
Well, in my mind, what would kind of make sense with that two options, then wouldn't the one that is playable might be worth more because it can be used rather than the golden one, which is very beautiful and can be put aside, but I feel like it would diminish in value if that's the case. I mean, in this situation of Magic, cards are meant to be played, not just admired. Now, they can be both. You can put them away and grade them and just keep them away. But the reality is that it's a game that you're supposed to play, not just a collectible. It's both.
I disagree. I would argue that in most cases, if we're talking about the most collectible cards in Magic, and to be fair, if we're talking about Alpha, we're talking about the Power 9. Yeah. We are not even really talking about dual lands. Most cards in Alpha were reprinted in Revised. Yeah. Most cards in Alpha, even if their later versions are expensive if you want to play with them, we're talking about hundreds, not thousands. Mm-hmm. If we're talking about cards in Alpha that are super, super highly prized, that would break the world if they were reprinted, that's your Black Lotus, that's your Moxes, that's your Time Twister, that's your Ancestral Recall, that's your whatever the other one is, Time Walk. At that point, the question is, if they're meant to be played, who's playing them? These are cards that are not legal in Legacy. These are cards that are not legal in Commander. These are cards that are not legal in Modern, Standard, Pioneer, obviously.
Yeah.
These are cards that are only playable in Vintage, a format that, again, has a great community and that is certainly fun, but at the same time is
to
not
get into.
Yeah, but even if it wasn't pricey to get into, still would represent a relatively small fraction of the entire Magic player base. I think it's fair to assume that most people who would buy a pack with the hopes of opening a newly reprinted Black Lotus in it are not people who are doing so because they want to play Vintage.
It's true, but if this is supposed to be a representation of, well, at least a celebration of Magic, then why would you make that your pivotal point and not something that's a little more affordable to the common Magic player?
I think that what you're getting at is really the heart of the emotional reaction that people are having against this product. I wouldn't say that it's a question of playability. I think that it's more than anything a feeling that this is a product that is being made to celebrate Magic, but that is not for most Magic players. I think that it's fair for any card publisher to make a super premium product. Most Magic products are not super premium. To have one in not even a year, one in quite a while, because even compared to something like a Secret Lair, this is really a tier of price that we don't normally see Magic products in.
Yeah, and to be fair with Secret Lairs, a lot of them are made to production. So like however many people put in when they open up the Secret Lair, they produce that many. So plenty go out there.
Yeah, this really is something that in the world of collectible cards, especially when you start getting into non-game trading cards, sports cards, other collectible cards that tie in maybe to comics, maybe that tie into other kinds of, well, let's just say things that are seen for their collector value, not for their game value.
Yeah.
Within that world, this type of a product is quite common. Not common in the sense that they make a million of them, but common in the sense that it is normal for a company to release a product with this type of built-in scarcity in this price tier. And I think that if this were, let's say, a super premium version of a product that is otherwise being printed for the masses, if you were doing, let's say, oh, there's these special 30th anniversary packs, and if you get the Hyper Collector Booster, it comes with one pack per box that is this kind of gold border alpha pack, and it might have something in it, and the special super secret collector box, hyper rare box, costs $1,000.
Yeah.
People will be fine with that. However, when you treat that as being the sole attraction, I think that the reaction to that, when people see something and say, oh, this is supposedly the biggest event in Magic's history, and I get the impression that this isn't for me, I think that that's alienating. And as a result, people find a reason to say, well, this is a bad product because I don't want it. That this is a bad product because it's not for me, which is kind of a, I don't know, I think it's kind of you're pushing in two directions. Is there a lack of value to this product fundamentally? No. Are there people who would love to collect a product like this? Yes. Yeah. Are they a very small fragment of the Magic community as a whole? Absolutely. I don't think that that diminishes the legitimacy of the product. I think that that simply creates a rift between the product and the people who are seeing it advertised.
I also kind of think that as a person who plays a lot of the game, you'd kind of expect that if this is the flagship thing that's supposed to be coming out, like right when the their little event in Vegas happens, well, then why isn't there something to help also celebrate it at the store, or at very least run offer something to the local game stores that they can then give out to the players to really celebrate this event, or at very least a product that they can then sell and give out for the event.
That's a very good point. And I really have to wonder how much of this overall is a problem of messaging rather than a problem of the product itself. We're talking about Magic's 30th anniversary as a 1.5 year long event, right? And I think that for this to be the lead-in communicates to people that this is the essence of it. And it's probably not meant to be. It's probably meant to be the icing on the cake. But when that is what you're biting into first, and everything else is, let's just say, part of what's to come.
The greater plan.
The greater plan. That becomes something that's a lot harder to swallow.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think we're expecting another remastered set in 2023, and then also they produced the Secret Lair to be associated with that, but then I just kind of feel like the LGS is left out.
I am also not saying that there's any shortage of new Magic products, that we need a new 30th anniversary special set that they haven't made, that we need booster boxes of it, draft boosters, collector boosters, set boosters. I'm not saying that.
No,
we have lots to keep our shelves stocked. I think, if anything, the mistake is presenting it in such a way that leads people to expect a set. And it's tough because you look at a product like this, you look at an event like this, you look at a presentation like this. It's hard not to be reminded of something like Magic 25, which was a full set that was released full of reprints to commemorate the history of Magic. If you look at something like the 30th anniversary pack and expect it to fill a similar role, it's very easy to be sorely disappointed. This is meant to be a 1.5 year long celebration of Magic. What that celebration will fully involve remains to be seen. There is, I am sure, so much that is yet to be revealed that it would be a mistake to attempt to judge this as an endeavor at this point. Looking at this one product, I understand where people's reaction comes from, but at the same time, I think it's good to contextualize it, not just as a comparison to a regular Magic set, but in the realm of collectible cards as a whole.